Hello, I am your host, Monique Anderson. Thank you so much for tuning into our webinar today. We are fortunate to have Dustin Mayfield, an applications engineer for Tech30 here with us today to talk about Windchill BOM management. And we also have Hamed Yazdi, the business development manager for Tech30. Just a quick reminder, please enter all your comments and questions in the chat box to the right of the screen and we'll respond to them at the end of our webcast. I will now hand the reins over to Hamed, who will give you a little background overview on Tech30.
Thank you, Monique. I appreciate it. So for those of you who are not familiar with us, Tech30 is a Platinum PTC partner. We're a strategic partner with PTC, and our goal and our mission is to really help our customers solve their engineering challenges by providing not only the innovative software that allows them to do so, but also complementing that with our engineering services, training, and support. So our goal is to become a true partner to our customers. We want you to view us as a resource. Now, one of the most important things in us being able to do that most effectively is to get to know you and your business. So as the business development manager, personally, the best part of my job is when I get to leverage our personal and professional network to help customers grow their business and really provide solutions to them. So if we get to know you a little bit more and we think of other customers we have or other industry professionals we have that can complement your business, we're more than happy to refer them and help each other create a mutually beneficial partnership. So please give us the opportunity to get to know you and understand how we can best meet your engineering needs. So let's go over our portfolio very briefly, just so you are familiar with everything that Tech30 has to offer. First of all, we do sell software. We sell Creo software, Windchill software for data management, MathCAD, as well as Arbortext for tech publishing needs. Our hardware, we have solutions such as 3D printers as well as laptops, so we'd love you to consider us for those situations and those needs. We also do 3D scanning and reverse engineering if that's something that you're interested in. And then I'm going to go briefly over our services before we pass on to Dustin to dive into the BOM management webinar. So the services that we specialize in, and we have a large organization of over 50 individuals that can help with these solutions, specifically PLM deployments. We're talking about Windchill as well as Siemens Teamcenter. So we've been in this industry for a while, and if you have any needs regarding those, we can do anything from a small, quick installation to a very large deployment for larger companies. We also provide training on any of the software that we discussed. And if you ever have the need where maybe you're running a little bit short on bandwidth, you have a project, and you need more support, or perhaps you come across something that's outside of your area of expertise, you need support on analysis and modeling, please consider us for those as well, as those are services that we provide. So what I'm going to do now is hand it over to Dustin so we can dive into the webinar regarding BOM management.
All right, thank you, Hamed. So today we are going to talk about Bill of Materials Management or BOM management inside of Windchill PDM Link. This has been a capability that's been in Windchill for quite some time. It's underutilized, and I think it's definitely something that we would like to talk about and better enable you guys to use it. Some of the main things we'll talk about is the visualization piece of it, how you can view your BOM and your CAD structure inside of Windchill. We'll talk about the CAD structure and what that looks like and how that differs from the WT part structure. We'll talk about viewing and filtering the structure, how we can add additional parts, how we can see different views of it, how we can then mature the CAD structure or those CAD parts that you're so used to into Windchill technology parts or WT parts. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to export some of this data into an ERP system. What's the first steps to take in order to get your data into an ERP system? So that's kind of a brief agenda. I'll go ahead and kick off the demo right now and kind of go look at it in person here. So let me pull it up. So you may be familiar with this view already. This is a simple CAD structure. This is exactly what you would see inside of your application such as Creo. There's not much of a difference here. You have your latest version, your latest iteration viewable. So the first thing we're going to look at is the visualization piece of it. Very straightforward. This is run on Creo View, so you can see your parts published in here inside inside the Windchill pane here. Very useful for downstream users or just for engineers that want to know what part is associated to what name. Sometimes these names could get little non-descriptive, so you can click on these parts and see them inside the actual visualization as you go through. Vice versa, you can click the parts inside the visualization and it will highlight inside of the the structure itself. So it makes it a little easier for you to navigate through your structure, figure out which part is where, and what's tied to. This can of course be put into the new Navigate app through Windchill, which we have talked about previously, and we can showcase in a later demo here. But this makes it a lot easier for downstream users to really access your structure and see what you're talking about. So a few things you can do inside the CAD structure. Now I want to highlight here, this is just the CAD structure. This is nothing to do with the WT part structure and some of the later features and advanced features you can do with that. But we can do some simple things from the CAD structure. The first thing I want to show you is how to generate a report. The reporting capabilities inside the CAD structure is a little bit more limited. So the two reports you can create is a single level report where you just see the top level assemblies, this top dog assembly with its major parents beneath it. Or we can do a multi-level report, which is something we might consider as we start to talk about exporting to an ERP system, where we can not only see the top assemblies but all of their children underneath it. Right, so we can export that, and I'll show that a little bit later in the actual WT part structure when we have a little bit more data built in there. But that's a quick way to start exporting this stuff into a format we need. Alternatively, you can also export just this list into multiple different formats, whether it's a CSV, which is pretty common, into importing it into a ERP system or an Excel spreadsheet, XML, PDF, whatever you need. It can be done right on the spot here. A few more things you can do in here, as you can, you can also add stuff in here as you go. You can add a new part, kind of what you would do inside of Creo. So it gives you some top-level management capabilities, so you can start building out your structure as you go. Maybe not the best way to do it, but it is a capability that you can do. You can also see different things underneath these CAD parts, but there's really not much to see. The main thing that I would recommend showing is the associated parts, and this is what we're going to talk about next. Associated parts is the WT part, or the Windchill technology part. So I'm going to go ahead and open that, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. So the WT part is something that you would have to mature into. It's not, most everyone that we've come across are still working on basic vaulting, check-in, check-out of their CAD documents. They haven't gotten to the level yet of where they've matured into a WT part because this hasn't been necessary, or their business hasn't seen a need for it yet, or they don't quite understand what it does. So a WT part, or Windchill technology part, is an item master or material master in ERP system. So the CAD document is one of those components inside the WT part that describes the part number. It's not the only one, though. So this is really valuable if you have multiple non-CAD items tied to your part number, such as specs, quality alerts, other graphics or images. It contains all that information you need inside of one part number. So if you have manufacturing entering Windchill, they could search up the number, and then they can find all the related documentation on how to assemble or build this component. So everything is tied into one part, and it makes it a single source of truth. Everything is in one spot. There's no documents or floating Word documents out on shared network drives, or calculations, maybe math CAD sheets that you have that you want to talk about, you want to describe by your part number with. That's not floating around. That can be all tied into a WT part. And the benefit of that, and I'll show you that now, is inside the structure view of this. So let's first, before I get into that, let me first show the differences in terms of visualization between the CAD structure and the WT part structure, which we just saw. So from the WT part structure here, we have a little bit more capabilities in terms of visualization. We can make annotations, we can do markups, we can view it in a wireframe, or we can remove hidden lines. I apologize, let me close that real quick. So we can view hidden lines, we can see in a different kind of format. We didn't have this capability inside the CAD structure. We can also make annotations. We can measure certain parts of the radius of this wheel well here, and we can make annotations on it and save it to our part. A little bit more than that, though, we can actually start to hide components, kind of like what you would do in CAD. We could hide components based on what we would want to see and what we don't want to see. So as I kind of click through this here, let's kind of go ahead and hide this chassis in the car seat. I'll get the car body away here. So I want to just expose maybe the front wheel assembly. Maybe we could just keep on the transmission there. So I can start to go ahead and hide components that I don't want to see. Same capabilities as the CAD structure. I can click through this and it'll highlight where inside the structure it's located at. So that gives a little bit more flexibility as well. But we can start hiding things, and see different views of what we normally couldn't do inside that CAD structure. So again, really useful for downstream users. Really nice to know what you're clicking into and getting into. So the one thing I wanted to highlight that's different about a WT part structure is the fact that you can tie these associated documents to your part number. So if I just go to the show here and I say, let's show all documents tied to this front wheel assembly. Not only does it show, actually let's also show some the CAD document as well. So again, this front wheel assembly will have a CAD document to it, it will have a drawing to it, but now it has a torque spec and quality alert to it. So just from this one part number, we have 4 different components. When the CAD structure, we'd only have the CAD document tied to it. So again, already we're seeing 4 more things tied to this part than we couldn't do in the CAD structure. And that's just the process of maturing your design process into WT parts, which is included inside PDM Link. It's pretty straightforward to start creating these parts, but it's a little bit more difficult to start adopting it as the source part that you want to go to when you're trying to look up information. So with this too, we can obviously we can get more reports, right? We can get different report types. If we go to reports here, you can see a lot more than what we had before. We only had that single level BOM and multi-level BOM. Now we have a single level BOM with notes. We have a multi-level BOM with maybe approved manufacturing list or replacement parts. We can have manufacturer parts in here. So now we can start to export things with all the documentation that we need. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do one of these reports here, just so you can kind of see what the user interface looks like. So right now we see all the parts that kind of come with it, all the documentation. If we go to actions, we can just export this to maybe a CSV file. All right, and this can later be used inside of exporting into an ERP system or formatting in a way that gets into an ERP system. So this is the first step you would take in order to do that. So we can go ahead and open that, but I'll save that for a later time. Okay, so the next thing you can do, and I think this is extremely valuable, especially for maybe engineering managers or top-level CAD users that want to start utilizing some of that top-level, the top-down design techniques. So we can build out components from inside the structure here. So we can start building out our structure without needing to build CAD documents around it. So say we have an idea of what this structure should look like. We can add numbers, we can add existing parts into here, or we can create new parts. So for example, let's say I want to add a what's a good one to add? What if we want a software package here? Maybe we want to add something that's like an autonomous. Since this is a car, let's look for the autonomous module. So we're going to go ahead and create a new part. We'll call it the auto module for autonomous. Create a new part, and we'll walk through these steps here. So instantly it'll pop up, it'll check out your part, it'll pop up this new part creation dialog. Let's make this a software part. This is going to be obviously a software package here. We can go ahead and do the name. Let's make this view inside of design. And we can obviously associate this to whatever we need, different life cycles, or and we can put some plant identifications in here. There's a few things we can do in here, but we'll just keep it really simple. Just create a software part. Now we don't need a CAD document because obviously this is a software package. So we can hit finish. And as you see, a new software part was created down here. Now, of course, this is why it's so valuable, because we don't normally have a part describing maybe software or maybe electrical components or various other things, maybe just simple sticker labels that you'd have. We don't have this normally inside of Creo, inside of CAD. So this is a little bit more powerful. Actually, it's a lot more powerful in the fact that you can build out structures that encompasses your entire assembly. It includes instructions on how to tighten lug nuts. Quality alert. We got back a certain part that has been getting damaged in the field. So we got to be aware. We got to make sure we're assembling it in a proper fashion to prevent it from getting damaged in the field. There's a lot of things you can do inside of a WT part structure. It makes it very valuable to use. So that, I want to keep this as brief as possible, and as I want to maybe make this as comprehensive as possible. There's a lot more you can do inside of the structure than just what we discussed. We can talk about occurrences, classification. There's a lot we can do, but I want to really kind of keep it at the top level and talk about how we go from a CAD structure to WT part structure and what those major differences are. So with that being said, I'm going to go back to our presentation here and kind of summarize what we discussed and what we talked about. Let me switch this around. So to summarize here, we looked at the visualization for the CAD structure and the WT part structure. Now visualization is very powerful. That's actually probably one of my favorite parts of it, because this can be used inside of PTC Navigate. again, enables downstream users to easily see your structure and what part you were talking about. If a manufacturing guy goes in, types in a part number, whether it's a Navigate or inside Windchill, they can pull up the visualization of the structure and the part. So it makes it a lot easier to know what they're talking about. We looked at the CAD structure, very similar to what it looks like inside of Creo. We talked a little bit how you can view the filter, and you can see different documents or replacement parts, and the associated documents to it. And then, of course, maturing into the WT part. That's a big step for a lot of people, but it's a very important step, and that allows you to have this structure capability. And then we talked a little bit about exporting to ERP systems. The first step you want to take in order to do that is to maybe export your multi-level BOM with maybe your manufacturing list or whatever you need into a CSV format. Make sure that format can be used inside of your ERP system. And that's one of the first steps you would take to get to that level. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and kick off our Q&A. I'll give it back to Monique here.
All right, great, Dustin. So we did get a question in from Bob. He asks, can you filter your BOM to see parts in specific states?
Yes, and I actually wanted to show that, and I apologize for not showing that there. So you can filter your bill of materials to see certain states, and actually this is pretty useful if you only want to see parts that are released, for example. So let's go ahead and get this view back up here. I'm going to go ahead and say, I go into my filter and I hit Edit Filter. Now from here we can do a lot of different ways to filter out our BOM. Very, very useful to use. So we're just going to keep it simple. I'm going to remove the latest in the design working state. We're going to add a new one with a release state. Okay, and from there we just hit OK. Let me make sure that let me see, maybe I did that incorrectly here. Let's see. If I can't show this, I want to at least show the concept on how to do it. You can view it from a different state. I hope I set this up correctly so we can see released parts here. Okay, well, I'll have to, we can send out some information on how to see the release state. This is how you would do it though. You go to Edit Filter, you add the release state there, and it will filter it down. You'll see the parts that are still in work, and you'll see the ones that are now released. So I apologize I wasn't able to show that, but we can send out some information if that's something you're interested in.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you so much for an excellent presentation today, Dustin. We will be posting this video to YouTube later today. Feel free to pass along to your friends and colleagues, and please be sure to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn to get any information regarding upcoming webinar dates and topics. If you could also please stick around for just 10 to 15 seconds after the webcast ends to fill out a short survey. Let us know how we did and what you liked. We really appreciate your feedback. Thank you again so much for attending, everybody, and have a great day.